Commander Ta stood at the observation deck of United Earth headquarters, his eyes fixed on the massive alien ship hovering above the Pacific Ocean. The vessel shimmered against the blue sky, its metallic surface catching sunlight in ways that made it look almost alive. Even after 3 days, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Still hard to process, isn't it?" Admiral Kim said, stepping beside him. Her uniform was perfectly pressed, not a wrinkle to be seen despite having barely slept since first contact. "Yes, Admiral," Tay replied. "Everything we thought about our place in the universe has changed forever," she finished. "The President wants us in the meeting room. The aliens, the Confederation representatives, have requested formal talks." They walked briskly through the corridors of the headquarters. Staff members moved with renewed purpose, their faces showing a mixture of excitement and fear. Humanity had united under a single government only 30 years ago, following the climate wars. Now they faced something bigger than any earthly conflict. In the main conference room, President Yoon addressed the Emergency Council. Maps and images of the alien vessel covered the screens around them. "They call themselves the Galactic Confederation," President Yoon said. "Their initial message was peaceful. They claimed to represent over 20 spacefaring civilizations." Minister Han raised her hand. "And we believe them." "We have little choice," replied Defense Minister Park. "Their technology is clearly centuries beyond ours. The ship above us could likely destroy our major cities before we could launch a meaningful response." Admiral Kim nodded. "Our analysis suggests their vessel has energy readings consistent with antimatter reactions. Their hull materials are unknown to our science." President Yoon straightened his jacket. "They've requested a preliminary meeting tomorrow. I need our best people there." He looked directly at Admiral Kim. "You'll lead our delegation." The next day, Commander Ta stood slightly behind Admiral Kim as the Earth delegation entered the meeting space, a temporary structure the aliens had placed in a field outside Geneva. The air felt strangely clean inside, and the lighting had an odd blue tint that made human skin look pale. 3 aliens waited for them. They stood nearly 7 feet tall with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer. Their bodies were humanoid but wrong somehow. Too many joints in their arms, fingers too long, faces too smooth with large, dark eyes. "We welcome Earth's representatives," the central figure said, its mouth not quite matching the words. Some kind of translator, Tay realized. "I am Director Ulos, Senior Diplomatic Coordinator of the Galactic Confederation." Admiral Kim stepped forward. "I am Admiral Sun Kim of United Earth. We are honored by your presence and look forward to peaceful exchanges between our civilizations." Ulos made a gesture that might have been a bow. "Your world has been known to us for some time. We have observed your development with interest." "You've been watching us?" Minister Han asked, unable to hide her surprise. "Of course," another alien said. "We monitor all developing worlds. It is standard procedure." Ta noticed how the aliens' tone suggested they were speaking to children. There was a condescension that transcended the translation. "We have brought gifts," Ulos continued, motioning to a table where several objects sat. "Simple technology to demonstrate our goodwill. Energy conversion units, medical analysis tools, and educational materials about Confederation history." "Most generous," Admiral Kim replied, her diplomatic training showing. "Earth is eager to learn from your advanced civilization." The meeting continued for 3 hours. The aliens spoke at length about the Confederation's structure, their peaceful mission of bringing order to the galaxy, and how Earth might benefit from their guidance. They mentioned resources, cultural exchanges, and protection from less civilized species. Throughout it all, Tai observed their body language. The slight hesitations before certain answers, the way they exchanged glances when difficult questions arose about their military capabilities. That evening, back at Earth headquarters, Admiral Kim's diplomatic mask finally dropped. "They're hiding something," she said to the assembled council. Their answers about how they select worlds for contact were evasive at best. Their technology offers are limited, added Science Director Jun, examining one of the alien devices. Advanced, yes, but these are consumer-grade items. Nothing that would give us any real understanding of their capabilities. President Yoon frowned. We need more information before we commit to anything. Do we have any way to monitor their private communications? Commander Tai cleared his throat. Sir, during the meeting, I managed to place several microdrones in their facility. Earth Intelligence designed them based on insect behaviors. They're virtually undetectable with our technology, which means the aliens might still find them. Minister Park cautioned. It's a risk we must take, President Yoon decided. Activate the surveillance. 2 days later, Commander Tai, Admiral Kim, and a small team gathered in a secure room deep beneath Earth headquarters. The drone footage played on screens before them. The aliens stood in their private chamber, speaking in their native language. The translation software worked in real time. The humans are more cautious than expected, Ulos was saying. Previous species at this development level accepted our initial proposals without question. Another alien, identified as Coordinator Trull, made a sound like clicking stones. They are suspicious by nature. Their history is filled with conflicts among themselves. This could be useful, Ulos replied. Once they accept the first stage treaties, we can exploit their resource-rich system. Their mineral deposits alone would fuel our expansion in this sector for decades. And if they resist? Asked a third alien. Ulos' expression didn't change, but his tone darkened. They won't. No species at their development level ever has. The process is proven. Gradual integration, increasing dependency, and within 30 cycles, complete economic control. By then, it's too late for them to resist. The room fell silent as the recording ended. Admiral Kim's face was stone. Well, President Yoon finally said, at least we know where we stand. They see us as primitives, Minister Han said, anger in her voice. As prey. Admiral Kim turned to face them all. Then we let them think that. For now. Over the next week, Earth's delegates continued meeting with the Confederation representatives. They smiled, asked appropriate questions, and expressed appropriate gratitude for alien wisdom. Meanwhile, beneath the surface, Earth prepared. Commander Tai oversaw the formation of special response teams. Scientists began careful analysis of every alien gift, looking for ways to understand and possibly replicate their technology. Military forces worldwide went on quiet alert, careful not to show any unusual activity that might be detected from orbit. How long can we keep this charade going? Commander Tai asked Admiral Kim as they prepared for yet another meeting. Admiral Kim straightened her uniform and checked her reflection. Her diplomatic smile appeared, perfect and empty. As long as necessary, Commander. We fought too hard for our freedom to surrender it to anyone, human or alien. She turned to face him, the smile vanishing. They think we're primitive because we still fight wars, still have poverty and disease. They think that makes us weak. And what do you think, Admiral? I think they've never faced humans before. Her eyes hardened. And that will be their mistake. As they walked toward the alien facility for another day of false diplomacy, Commander Tai understood that the real war had already begun, a war of secrets, of patience, and of preparation. And for the first time since the massive ship appeared in Earth's sky, he felt something like hope. 6 months had passed since the alien vessel of the Galactic Confederation appeared in Earth's sky. The initial shock had given way to a tense routine. Daily meetings, careful exchanges of information, and beneath it all, Earth's silent preparation for what they now knew was coming. Director Jin walked into the Security Council chamber with a tablet under his arm. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. He had worked through the night analyzing the latest intelligence. The room fell silent as he approached the central podium. President Yoon, Admiral Kim, and the other highest officials of Earth's united government watched him intently. Thank you for gathering on such short notice. Jin began, pressing a button on his tablet. A holographic star map appeared above the table, with several systems highlighted in red. My team has completed our analysis of the educational materials the Confederation provided us, cross-referenced with the private communications we intercepted. He zoomed in on one particular star system. The pattern is clear and consistent. The Confederation has approached at least 17 other civilizations in the past 200 years. Each encounter follows the same sequence. Jin swiped to show a timeline. First, peaceful contact. Then, offers of limited technology and protection. Next, a series of treaties that seem beneficial but contain hidden clauses allowing for resource extraction. Finally, complete economic dependence leading to effective control of the planet. Minister Han leaned forward, and the civilizations don't resist. By the time they understand what's happening, it's too late, Jin replied. Their own technology becomes dependent on Confederation systems. Any resistance leads to economic collapse. President Yoon's face remained calm, but his fingers tapped a slow rhythm on the table. Show me the most recent example. Jin displayed the image of a blue-green world. The Lintari. Their civilization was at a similar development stage to ours when contacted 80 years ago. Now they provide 90% of the rare mineral extraction for the Confederation's northeastern quadrant. Their population has declined by 30% due to environmental damage. And they accepted this? Admiral Kim asked. The final treaties were signed after a mysterious plague affected their food supply. The Confederation offered the cure in exchange for unlimited mining rights, Jin said quietly. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. President Yoon finally spoke, and our technological adaptation program. Defense Minister Park touched his tablet, replacing the star charts with schematics of Earth's new defenses. Exceeding expectations, Mr. President. Our scientists have reverse-engineered several of the simple technologies they provided. The energy conversion unit they gave us revealed principles we've used to improve our power systems by 40%. Park displayed a video showing a test firing against a metal plate. More importantly, we've adapted their shield technology and improved it by nearly 30%. Their gifts have been quite educational. Could we defend against their weapons? President Yoon asked directly. Park hesitated. Not fully, not yet, but we're making progress much faster than they would expect. The Confederation clearly believes we'll need decades to understand even their basic technology. Science Director Lee added, they've underestimated human adaptability. Our scientists work differently than theirs, less methodical perhaps, but more creative in crisis. Admiral Kim nodded. We need time. Every week gives us better chances. Speaking of time, said Commander Tai, who had been silent until now, the Confederation has requested a meeting tomorrow to finalize preliminary agreements. President Yoon looked around the table. Opinions? Delay, said Minister Han immediately. Find reasonable excuses. Dangerous, countered Jin. 17 previous civilizations followed a pattern. Too much deviation might make them suspicious. We need to appear cooperative while giving nothing important away, Admiral Kim suggested. I recommend accepting some minor agreements while finding reasonable objections to others. President Yoon considered, then nodded. Admiral Kim, prepare a response. Accept their meeting but be ready to reject any substantive demands. Let's show them humans aren't quite what they expected. The next day, Admiral Kim led the Earth delegation into the now familiar meeting chamber. Over months, the humans had grown accustomed to the strange blue lighting and the too smooth walls. Director Ulos and his assistants waited with what passed for patience among their kind. We are pleased to continue our productive discussions, Ulos began. Today we bring the preliminary resource sharing agreements for your review. A holographic document appeared between them. Admiral Kim took her time reading it, though Earth intelligence had already obtained a copy through their hidden surveillance. We have some concerns, she said finally, her tone pleasant but firm. Section 3 would grant Confederation mining operations exclusive rights to our asteroid belt. Section 7 includes limitations on Earth's independent space development. And Section 12 allows for Confederation oversight of our planetary defense systems. She looked up, meeting Eulos's large dark eyes. These terms will need significant revision. The alien shifted uncomfortably. Eulos's assistant, Trell, made that clicking sound they now recognized as surprise or agitation. These are standard provisions, Eulos said, his translator not quite hiding his confusion. All developing worlds accept these terms. Earth is unique in many ways, Kim replied smoothly. Our resource management systems are specifically designed for our planetary needs. Any agreement must respect that. This is unusual, Eulos said, mandibles clicking in obvious agitation. Most species see the wisdom in our guidance. Admiral Kim smiled, the expression not reaching her eyes. Humans have always been slow learners, Director Eulos. We prefer to understand things thoroughly before committing to them. The tension in the room was palpable. Eulos exchanged glances with his assistants, a silent communication passing between them. Perhaps, Eulos said finally, we should adjourn to consider these unexpected concerns. Of course, Kim agreed pleasantly. We appreciate your understanding. As the Earth delegation left the meeting chamber, Commander Tai fell into step beside Admiral Kim. They didn't expect resistance, he murmured. No, she replied quietly. And that gives us an advantage. Prepare for increased surveillance from orbit. I suspect our friends will want to understand why we're not following their script. Back at Earth headquarters, Admiral Kim gave her report to President Yoon directly. They were genuinely surprised, she concluded. Their body language suggested they've never encountered significant pushback at this stage of negotiations. President Yoon nodded slowly. Then we've confirmed Director Jin's analysis. They expect compliance, not resistance. Yes, sir, but now they'll be watching us more carefully. Let them watch, Yoon said. Continue the technology development program at all costs. And Admiral, he paused, prepare contingency plans for more direct confrontation. I fear it may come to that. That night, Commander Ta stood again at the observation deck, looking up at the alien ship. Its presence had become almost normal now, a constant reminder of all that had changed. A junior officer approached and saluted. Sir, we've detected increased energy signatures from the Confederation vessel. They appear to be scanning our major cities. Ta nodded, unsurprised. Inform Director Jin and implement Protocol Sigma. Protocol Sigma had been developed weeks earlier, a careful deception plan to hide Earth's true technological progress. False readings, strategic misinformation, and carefully staged activities designed to make Earth appear less prepared than it was. As the officer hurried away, Ta continued looking at the alien ship. The gathering storm was approaching faster now. Earth would need every advantage it could create. In his quarters, Admiral Kim reviewed the latest intelligence reports. A message from Director Jin caught her attention. Confederation has contacted other vessels. Reinforcements requested. She closed her eyes briefly. They had expected this, but not so soon. Earth was preparing as quickly as possible, but they needed more time. So be it, she whispered to the empty room. The game had changed from diplomacy to a race against time, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Commander Ta stood on the roof of Earth headquarters, binoculars raised to the sky. What had been one alien ship was now 7. 6 new Confederation vessels had arrived during the night, positioning themselves in a pattern that any military strategist would recognize, not as visitors, but as an invasion force. They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore, said Admiral Kim, who stood beside him. The wind whipped her dark hair across her face. No, Tai agreed. Their patience is running out. The largest vessel hung directly over the Pacific, while the others formed a perfect hexagon around Earth, each covering a major population center. Their positions allowed for maximum coverage of strategic targets. Director Eulos has requested an emergency meeting, Admiral Kim said. He claims these ships are here for our protection. Ta lowered his binoculars. Protection from what? Apparently, there are dangerous elements in this sector of space that might threaten a developing world like ours. She didn't bother hiding her skepticism. Ta handed her a tablet. Intelligence just decoded this transmission between their ships. You should see it immediately. Admiral Kim scanned the document, her expression hardening with each line. A timeline. For their takeover. Yes, they plan to begin resource extraction within 30 days, starting with our oceans and moving to mineral deposits. They'll offer medical assistance for the unexpected illness that will affect our crops next month. Ta's voice was flat. Classic playbook, exactly as Director Jin predicted. And if we resist? The document mentions pacification protocols for uncooperative populations. Admiral Kim handed the tablet back, her decision already made. Inform President Yoon. It's time for our response. 3 hours later, representatives from Earth entered the neutral meeting station that had been established in orbit. Unlike previous sessions, this one included not just Director Yulos and his team, but 12 additional Confederation species. The galactic leadership had gathered to witness Earth's formal integration into their system. The chamber was larger than the ground facility, with a circular table surrounded by the various alien representatives. Some looked almost human, others were utterly foreign. Crystalline structures, floating gas clouds contained in mechanical suits, multi-limbed creatures that clicked and whistled to each other. Director Yulos stood as the Earth delegation entered. "We welcome Earth's representatives to this historic gathering," he announced. "Today marks your world's first step toward full membership in the Galactic Confederation." Admiral Kim, now formally appointed as Earth's chief ambassador, took her position at the table. Commander Tai and 5 other human delegates flanked her. They had worn their formal uniforms, navy blue with silver trim, created specifically for these negotiations. "Before we begin," Yulos continued, "I must address concerns about our protective fleet. Recent intelligence suggests potential threats from non-Confederation entities in neighboring systems. The battle group is purely defensive in nature, I assure you." Admiral Kim's face revealed nothing. "Thank you for that clarification, Director Yulos." Yulos seemed pleased by the lack of challenge. He gestured, and a holographic document appeared above the table. "The Provisional Integration Treaty has been prepared based on our previous discussions. It outlines resource-sharing arrangements, technological exchange protocols, and security cooperation." The alien representatives watched expectantly. This was the moment every developing world accepted their generous offer, beginning the process that would end in their complete subjugation. Admiral Kim stood, her posture perfect, her face composed. "Director Yulos, distinguished representatives of the Galactic Confederation, humanity has carefully considered your proposals over these past months." She paused, looking around the table, meeting the eyes or sensory organs of each alien species present. "After thorough review of the terms you offer, and with full understanding of their implications, Earth formally withdraws from these negotiations. We decline membership in the Galactic Confederation." The translation echoed in multiple languages around the room. For several seconds, there was complete silence. Then chaos erupted. Several species began speaking at once, their translators overlapping in a cacophony of disbelief and outrage. "This is not possible," Yulos said, his voice cutting through the noise. "No species has ever rejected Confederation membership." "There is always a first time, Director," Admiral Kim replied calmly. A crystalline being shimmered with agitation. "You cannot simply withdraw. The protocols do not allow for it." "Your protocols do not govern Earth," Kim stated. "We are an independent world making an independent decision." "This is a grave mistake," Yulos said, his normally smooth diplomacy cracking. "There are realities of galactic politics you do not understand. Without our protection." "We have listened to your offers of protection," Kim interrupted. "We have analyzed your treaties. We have learned about what happened to the 17 other civilizations that accepted your terms." She looked directly at Yulos. We choose a different path. A gas cloud entity floated forward. If you have concerns about specific treaty provisions, we can make adjustments. This is unprecedented. Our decision is final, Kim said. She nodded to the human delegation. This meeting is concluded. As one, the Earth representatives stood and moved toward the exit. You cannot leave. Yulos called after them, his translator struggling to convey his agitation. This is not permitted. Admiral Kim turned at the doorway. Humanity does not require permission to determine its own future, Director Yulos. That is something your Confederation may need to learn. The doors closed behind the human delegation, leaving stunned silence in the chamber. In the Earth shuttle returning to the surface, Commander Ta finally allowed himself a small smile. Their faces. It was quite satisfying, Admiral Kim agreed. But now the real work begins. Do you think they'll attack immediately? Kim shook her head. No, they've never faced this situation before. They'll debate, argue among themselves, try to understand what went wrong. That gives us time. Not much, but some. Back on Earth, President Yoon received their report in the war room, surrounded by military and civilian leaders. You believe they will eventually resort to force? He asked. Without question, Admiral Kim replied. Their entire system depends on the illusion of inevitability. If one world can successfully resist, others might try. They cannot allow that precedent. Then we accelerate our preparations, President Yoon decided. Activate all the systems we've developed. How long until full defensive capability? Defense Minister Park consulted his tablet. The planetary shield can be at 70% capacity within 48 hours. Our adapted weapon systems are ready now, though untested against their actual technology. And our allies? President Yoon asked. Director Jin stepped forward. 5 species have responded to our secret communications. All have suffered under Confederation rule. They're waiting to see if our resistance succeeds before committing themselves. Understandable, President Yoon said. We would do the same in their position. He looked around the table. Humanity stands alone for now, but that has often been true throughout our history. Meanwhile, aboard the main Confederation vessel, the Leadership Council had devolved into angry factions. Director Yulos struggled to maintain order as accusations flew. Your diplomatic team failed completely, charged a reptilian commander. How could you not foresee this outcome? No species has ever rejected integration, Yulos defended himself. Their behavior defies all historical patterns. Their technology development is accelerating too rapidly, noted a scientific advisor. Our scans show energy signatures inconsistent with their supposed level of advancement. Then they deceived us, said the reptilian. While you were exchanging pleasantries, they were preparing for conflict. The humans must be brought to compliance, stated a previously silent elder being. The system cannot tolerate exceptions. We should demonstrate our power, suggested the military commander. A limited strike on one population center. No, Yulos countered. That approach has risks, if they have hidden capabilities. You fear these primitives? Asked the commander incredulously. I fear the unknown, Yulos replied. And these humans are something we have not encountered before. As the Confederation leaders argued, Earth prepared. Citizens were briefed on emergency procedures. Military forces moved into position. The advanced defense systems, reverse-engineered and improved from Confederation technology, were activated around the globe. Commander Tai supervised the final preparations at the main defense control center. Admiral Kim joined him, watching as technicians ran system checks on equipment that had not existed 6 months earlier. Do you think we can win? Tai asked quietly. Kim considered the question. I think we can survive. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything. Above them, the 7 Confederation ships maintained their positions, while on board, a civilization that had never known serious challenge tried to decide how to handle the unthinkable, a species that said no Commander Tai rushed through the corridors of Earth Defense Headquarters, tablet in hand. The message had arrived 10 minutes ago, the first direct communication from the Confederation since humanity had walked away from the negotiating table 3 days earlier. In the war room, President Yoon and the Security Council were already assembled. Admiral Kim stood at the president's right hand, her face showing the strain of sleepless nights, but her posture still perfect. Director Jin and Minister Park were reviewing data on their screens, heads bent together in quiet conversation. "Commander," President Yoon acknowledged as Tai entered. "What do we have?" "Sir, Director Jun is patching it through now," Tai replied, taking his place at the table. Jun's fingers flew across his control panel. "Incoming transmission from the Confederation flagship," he announced. Text and audio, translated into 17 Earth languages simultaneously. They're making sure everyone gets the message. The main screen flickered to life, displaying the stern face of Director Ulos. The alien's features seemed harder now, any pretense of friendliness gone. "People of Earth," Ulos began, his translated voice filling the room. "Your representatives have made a grave error by rejecting Confederation protection. This decision places your world at risk from numerous interstellar threats you cannot comprehend. For your safety, and in accordance with Galactic Stabilization Protocol 27, the Confederation hereby issues the following requirements. 1. Earth will immediately accept Confederation guidance and protection. 2. Your military forces will stand down and accept Confederation oversight. 3. Resource sharing agreements will be implemented as previously outlined. 4. Those responsible for the diplomatic withdrawal will surrender themselves for re-education. You have 12 Earth hours to comply before we are forced to implement protective measures." The alien's dark eyes stared out from the screen. "This action is for your own benefit." The message ended, leaving the war room in silence. "They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore," Minister Han said finally. President Yoon leaned forward, hands clasped on the table. "Director Jun, can you track where else this message is being broadcast?" Jun consulted his screen. "They're transmitting on all major communication frequencies. Every television station, radio broadcast, and digital platform on Earth is receiving this right now. They're trying to frighten our population," Admiral Kim noted. "Create panic, division." President Yoon nodded slowly, then made his decision. "Broadcast their ultimatum publicly. Don't block it. Let everyone hear exactly what the Confederation is demanding." "Sir," Minister Han questioned, surprised. "Let everyone see their true nature," President Yoon explained. "How they speak to us, what they demand. No censorship, no editing. Our people deserve to know what we face." He stood, straightening his jacket, "and prepare our response. It's time to show the Confederation that humanity will not be intimidated." Within the hour, the Confederation ultimatum had reached every corner of Earth. Unlike previous first contacts in science fiction, there was no mass panic. Instead, a grim resolve settled over the population. Humanity had faced existential threats before, from climate collapse to nuclear standoffs. The pattern was familiar, even if the source was new. Commander Ta monitored global reactions from the command center. "Public support is holding steady at 87% for resistance," he reported. "Seems people don't appreciate being threatened by aliens any more than they do by other humans." "Activate the planetary defense grid," President Yoon ordered. "All systems to standby alert." Minister Park nodded to his team. Around the world, installations that had been built in secret over the past 6 months powered up. The technology, reverse-engineered from Confederation gifts and improved by Earth scientists working around the clock, created an energy shield that encircled the planet. On screens around the command center, status indicators changed from amber to green as each sector came online. "Defense grid at 68% capacity and rising," reported the chief engineer. "Estimated time to full power, 3 hours. "The Confederation ships are scanning us," Jun reported, monitoring the alien vessels. Energy signatures indicate they've detected our defense activation. Good, said Admiral Kim. Let them see that we're not as helpless as they believed. A young officer approached Commander Tay, speaking quietly in his ear. Tay's eyebrows rose in surprise. He moved quickly to President Yoon's side. Sir, we're receiving a transmission. Not from the Confederation, but from elsewhere. President Yoon frowned. Explain. A small vessel has decloaked in lunar orbit, sir. They're requesting secure communication with Earth leadership. They identify themselves as representatives of the Linteri, Mavar, Toklin, Shurith, and Zonder civilizations. The subjugated worlds. Director Jin said, recognition dawning. The ones we identified from Confederation records. President Yoon exchanged glances with Admiral Kim. Established the connection, but maintained security protocols. The secondary screen activated, showing a slender, blue-skinned humanoid with large, luminous eyes. Behind her stood representatives of 4 other species, each distinctly alien, yet all bearing the same expression that needed no translation. Hope. I am Delegate Mera of the Linteri, the blue-skinned alien said. We come without Confederation knowledge or approval. This is President Yoon of Earth. We are surprised by your contact. We have monitored your interactions with the Confederation, Mora continued. What you have done is unprecedented. No species has ever rejected their so-called protection and remained standing. We've endured Confederation control for generations, added another alien, a squat, rocky-skinned being. Their benevolence stripped our worlds of resources and our people of dignity. No one has ever challenged them as you have, Mora said, leaning closer to the screen. We had forgotten such resistance was possible. Admiral Kim stepped forward. Perhaps it's time for that to change. Delegate Mera's expression shifted to something like a smile. That is why we are here. To offer information, assistance where possible, and, she hesitated, alliance, should Earth survive what comes next. And what comes next? President Yoon asked. The Confederation will not accept your defiance. They cannot. Their entire system depends on worlds believing resistance is impossible. As if summoned by her words, alarms blared throughout the command center. Confederation warship breaking formation, Jun called out. Energy signatures indicate weapons systems activating. On the tactical display, one of the 7 alien vessels moved toward Earth, its approach deliberate and threatening. They're targeting our largest defense node in the Pacific, Minister Park reported. Testing our capabilities. President Yoon's face hardened. Delegate Mara, we appreciate your contact. We will speak again soon. He closed the transmission and turned to his team. Options. We could attempt further negotiation, suggested Minister Han. While they're powering weapons, Admiral Kim shook her head. That time has passed. Our defense grid is at 72%, reported Minister Park. Enough for a demonstration. President Yoon nodded. Authorized. Show them what humanity has learned. As the Confederation vessel approached Earth's atmosphere, the defense grid activated. A targeted energy pulse, precise and controlled, struck the alien ship's propulsion system. The blast was carefully calibrated, powerful enough to cause damage but not destruction. On screen, they watched the Confederation vessel falter, lose altitude, then stabilize. Its weapons powered down as it diverted energy to repairs. Direct hit, confirmed Minister Park. Their primary drive systems are damaged but functional. They can retreat but would struggle to maintain combat operations. They're pulling back, Jun reported, returning to their previous position. Admiral Kim smiled tightly. A clear message sent. And received, added Commander Tay, pointing to the communications panel. The Confederation is hailing us. Director Ulos appeared on screen again, his composure noticeably shaken. This action constitutes a direct assault on Confederation personnel. Such aggression cannot. Your vessel approached Earth with active weapons systems after delivering threats against our world, President Yoon interrupted. Our response was proportionate and defensive. Had we wished to destroy your ship, we would have. Yulos blinked his large eyes rapidly, a sign of distress they had learned to recognize. You have developed technologies beyond your expected capability. We are quick learners, President Yoon replied simply. The 12-hour deadline you imposed is rejected. Earth will defend itself against any aggression. We suggest you reconsider your approach. The transmission ended, leaving Director Yulos staring at an empty screen. In Earth's command center, President Yoon turned to his team. They'll regroup, plan a coordinated attack. We fought time, not victory. Time is what we need. Admiral Kim said, open a secure channel to Delegate Mara's vessel. If other worlds are willing to stand with us, we need to move quickly. As the day continued, Earth's defense grid reached full power. The 7 Confederation ships maintained their positions, neither advancing nor retreating, like predators reassessing dangerous prey. Commander Ta found Admiral Kim on the observation deck, looking up at the evening sky, where alien ships now mingled with the first visible stars. It's strange, Kim said without turning. 6 months ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. Now we're at the center of what might become a galactic conflict. Not alone anymore, Tai observed. The contacted worlds are sending technical data on Confederation weaknesses. Kim nodded. Good. We'll need every advantage. She finally turned to him. What do you think made us different? Why did Earth say no when 17 other worlds said yes? Ta considered the question carefully. Maybe because throughout our history, humans have always been told what they couldn't do, what was impossible. And then someone did it anyway. Breaking the impossible, Kim mused. Let's hope that tradition holds. Above them, the stars continued to shine, watching as humanity prepared for the next move in a game they hadn't known existed a year before. The Geneva sun shone brightly through the massive glass dome of the newly constructed Galactic Assembly Hall. 1 year had passed since Earth had faced the Confederation battle group and refused to back down. 1 year of struggle, innovation, and hard-won victories that had rewritten the political landscape of this corner of the galaxy. Commander Tai adjusted his formal uniform as he surveyed the gathered representatives. 17 distinct species filled the chamber, their forms as varied as their worlds. The crystalline Shuriths glittered in the sunlight. The gas cloud Zonders hovered in their containment fields. The blue-skinned Linturi sat tall, their once-defeated posture now proud and determined. Quite a sight, said Admiral Kim, joining him at the observation rail. Her uniform bore new insignia. Director of Interstellar Relations, a position created for the new era Earth had helped usher in. I still can't believe we're here, Tai admitted. There were moments I thought we wouldn't survive. Kim's expression remained composed, but her eyes showed the weight of memories. The coordinated Confederation attack that had tested Earth's defenses to their limits. The desperate weeks when humanity had fought with everything they had. The turning point when the subjugated worlds had finally risen up, encouraged by Earth's continued resistance. The official signing ceremony will begin in 5 minutes, announced a voice over the communication system. Below them, President Yoon entered the chamber, flanked by Earth's diplomatic corps. The assembled aliens rose in a gesture of respect that would have been unthinkable a year earlier. Look, Ta said quietly, gesturing toward the side entrance. A group of Confederation representatives was being escorted in, not as conquerors, but as defeated powers coming to accept new terms. Director Yulos led the group, his silver skin dulled by stress, his once confident stride reduced to a careful walk. He looks different, Kim observed. Defeat will do that, Tai replied. Especially when you believed victory was impossible. The Earth-led coalition had not destroyed the Confederation. That had never been the goal. Instead, they had done something more profound. They had broken its myth of invincibility. When the subjugated world saw Earth successfully resist, They found courage to fight their own battles. One by one, Confederation control had unraveled across dozens of systems. President Yoon took his position at the central podium. The Terran Alliance Charter, a document months in creation, displayed before him. Representatives of free worlds, Yoon began, his voice carrying throughout the chamber. We gather today not to celebrate victory, but to build something better than what came before. Delegate Mara of the Linturi nodded in agreement, her large eyes fixed on the president. For too long, the galaxy operated under the assumption that power gives right, that technological advantage permits exploitation, that worlds must either conquer or be conquered. Yoon looked directly at the Confederation delegation. Today, we reject that assumption. He gestured to the document before him. The Terran Alliance Charter proposes a different path. Cooperative defense, fair trade, and mutual respect between all signatory worlds. Not domination disguised as protection, but true partnership based on shared interests. Ta watched the faces of the alien representatives. Some showed clear emotion, relief, hope, determination. Others were harder to read, their biology too different from human. But their presence spoke volumes. Earth did not fight the Confederation to replace it with our own empire, Yoon continued. We fought because every sentient species deserves self-determination, because true civilization cannot be built on exploitation, because some principles transcend worlds. In the observation gallery, more Earth officials had gathered. Minister Park, whose technological innovations had helped turn the tide. Director Jin, whose intelligence network had proven crucial. All those who had worked tirelessly when the odds seemed impossible. The first signatories will now approach, announced the ceremony coordinator. One by one, representatives came forward. Earth, Linturi, Mavar, Toklin, each placing their mark on the charter in their own way, some with electronic signatures, others with thumbprints or specialized symbols. What do you think the Confederation representatives are feeling right now? Tai asked quietly. Confusion, mostly, Kim replied. Their system worked perfectly for centuries. They genuinely cannot understand how it failed. Below, the signing continued. When all 17 founding members had completed their part, President Yoon turned to the Confederation delegation. Director Yulos, please approach. The once proud alien moved forward slowly. The chamber fell silent. The Terran Alliance does not seek vengeance, Yoon stated clearly. Former Confederation worlds will not be subjugated as they once subjugated others. Instead, we offer a choice. Individual worlds may petition for membership in the Alliance as equal partners, provided they accept the Charter's principles. Or they may remain independent, so long as they respect the sovereignty of others. Yulos stared at the document before him. You offer terms to us. After our conflict, we offer a new beginning, Yoon corrected. War solves nothing if it only replaces one tyrant with another. The alien leader seemed to struggle with concepts entirely foreign to his understanding of how the galaxy worked. Finally, he placed his mark on the secondary document, not the charter itself, but the armistice agreement that formally ended hostilities. As Yulos stepped back, a ripple of conversation spread through the chamber. The moment was historic, the first peaceful transition of galactic power in recorded history. With these signatures, we begin a new chapter, President Yoon announced. The Terran Alliance is hereby established. Applause erupted. A human custom some aliens attempted to join, creating an unusual but heartfelt cacophony. Hours later, after the formal reception, Commander Ta found himself on the building's rooftop garden with Admiral Kim. The night sky above was clear, stars twinkling in patterns humans had observed for thousands of years, now with new understanding of what lay among them. Did you ever imagine this outcome when we caught them plotting against us? Ta asked, looking up at the vast expanse. Kim considered the question, her gaze following his to the stars. No. I hoped we would survive. I never dreamed we would thrive. Below them, Representatives of 17 worlds continued their celebrations, former enemies now cautious allies, former victims now equal partners. The Mayberry ambassador told me something interesting today, Kim said. Their historians believe the Confederation lasted as long as it did because no species had the right combination of traits to challenge it effectively. And humans did. Apparently, we're unusually adaptable. Most species develop more predictably. We leap in unexpected directions. Kim smiled slightly. And we're stubborn. Most rational species surrender when faced with overwhelming odds. Humans have always been underestimated, she continued, watching as the former Confederation leaders were escorted to their transport vessels. They saw us as primitive because we still value freedom, because our history is filled with conflict, because we haven't achieved the perfect order they prized so highly. That was their mistake. Ta nodded, understanding. They thought our disagreements made us weak. Instead, they made us strong, Kim finished. We know how to fight, how to resist, how to stand back up when knocked down. And most importantly, we know the value of what we're fighting for. In the years that followed, the galaxy would discover what the Confederation had failed to understand. That humans didn't just fight harder when cornered. They changed the rules of the game entirely. They built bridges where others built walls. They found strength and diversity where others demanded conformity. They created a system built on choice rather than control. Not perfect. No system created by sentient beings ever could be. But better. A new galactic order where worlds determined their own fate, where technology served freedom rather than oppression, where difference was seen as valuable rather than threatening. And it had all begun with a simple, unprecedented act that shook the foundations of an empire. Humans saying no when every calculation said they should say yes. As the stars continued their eternal dance above Earth, Admiral Kim looked toward the future with quiet determination. The work was just beginning, but for the first time in centuries, the galaxy's future held genuine hope.